Finally, after you requested it for so many times, I am here to make the most complete equipment guide for Rise of Kingdoms. Months of research, report analysis, discussion with the community, calculators, testings, everything brought to the making of this video. Whether you are a free-to-play player, a low spender, a mid spender, a high spender, or you are the biggest freaking kraken that Rise of Kingdoms has ever seen, and your favorite sport is speedrunning the purchase of all the bundles in the shop until Visa calls you and tells you to calm the down, this is the guide for you. I am going to tell you exactly what you need to craft and when you need to do it. We will discuss about value, timing, the difference between being in your home kingdom and in the first 3 KVKs, or being in the Season of Conquest KVK with all the technology that comes along with it. I am going to tell you every single possible way to get as many materials as possible, with or without spending money in the game. I promise I will try to make you save so much money and time. Without further ado, please drop a like on the video, consider subscribing and activating the notification bell. It's 100% free, helps the channel a ton, and you can always change your mind later. Let's get started. Hello Rise of Kingdoms people and welcome to Week Gaming. Let's start from the fundamentals of the equipment, shall we? To craft your equipment, obviously you need materials, but other than producing them daily in your blacksmith, which are the other ways you can get more of those materials? Let's start from the free ways. First of all, and this is very obvious, your daily missions. 2 milestones, 40 and 80 activity points will give you respectively some normal and some advanced material chests. Second, you must play your Sunset Canyon every single day. It is a great source of materials and blueprint fragments. Same story for the Lost Canyon when you are in KVK, which is basically the KVK version of the Sunset Canyon. By accumulating points, you will be able to exchange them in the shop for material chests after you have purchased everything you needed. For example, I don't need the Eternal Night and the Shield's Return anymore, and I am purchasing the materials chests right here. Third, never forget to complete the events that periodically rotate in Rise of Kingdoms, such as Ian's Ballads, Serioli Crisis, Golden Kingdom, Shadow Legion, and so forth and so on. Those will give you a great number of materials that with patience will consent even to the free-to-play players to forge a legendary piece from time to time. Fourth, if you are a very active player, consider farming the Barbarian Camps and the Barbarian Keeps. Those will give you good materials if you are willing to invest the time on them. Fifth, the free normal materials choice chest from the VIP shop every single week. Number 6, the free daily materials that you get if you are VIP 16 and above. 7, the occasional events. You can get some extra materials, for example, in the Osiris League shop when it's around, or in the ranked events, where you usually compete for city skins. Those will also give you some materials. The seasonal events, such as the spring, summer, autumn, winter events or Christmas events where you spend 7,000 gems to unlock a group of rewards, or sometimes some extra materials can be found in the season of Lucerne Scrolls. Number 8, all KVK related rewards, such as the Honor Ranking, where you can get some extra materials by placing yourself in the top 20 of the Honor Rankings, or even in the Crusader achievements, where you complete some missions, you can get some extra materials. And of course, we need to include the KVK Barbarians that have a chance to give you materials, and the Marauders in the pre-KVK phase, who will drop parchments that you will later exchange for Kingdoms chests that will drop materials. In the group of paid ways of getting more materials, first we have events such as the Archaeological Dig, which is more for the blueprint fragments, but I guess high spenders are going to select the equipment chests once they specialize all the equipment that they need. Then we have the Holy Knight's Treasure, the Esmeralda's House, and even some events that I don't see anymore in the game, such as Lucky Dice or the Garden of Infinity, and so forth. Second, we have of course the materials that you can get for gems in the VIP shop. These can both be considered a free or a paid way of getting materials, depending on where you invest your gems and if you farm them or you purchase them in the in-game shop. But I am going to classify this as a paid way of getting materials, because myself, as a low spender, I rarely pick up those materials from the VIP shop. Third, we have the Geared Up bundle, which you can purchase every single day up to 1 gold chest for a total of $185 per day. And I know many players that do that. Fourth, the 7-day material supply in the shop, which is honestly one of the best values in the entire shop, together with the 30 days gem supply. I will not mention other one-time only ways to obtain materials, such as the pop-up bundles or specific event bundles like monthly limited bundles that may contain materials and similars. Therefore, I am going to stop here with the ways that you can usually pick up materials in Rise of Kingdoms. If you should invest your gems or not on some of those events, it all depends on your progress in the game, if you are at the beginning or if you play the game for a longer time, and of course it will depend on your spending level. If you'd like to have my opinion on where you should spend your gems, check out this guide, card up on the top and link in the description down below. Let's now dive into the second chapter of this guide, namely my personal criteria to determine which equipment builds you should go for and why. For each troop type, I will propose 5 different tiers of equipment builds: free to play, low spender, mid spender, high spender, and CEO, which in this case does not mean Chief Executive Officer, but Compulsive Equipment Overlord. Some tiers will have some variations depending on some particular commanders, or depending on other factors, such as are you in your home kingdom or are you in KVK, and is that KVK a Season of Conquest KVK? Those variables can sometimes be significant to determine whether or not I can go with an attack piece or not. And that is where the debate between the Sakura Fubuki, the attack weapon, and the Gatekeeper shield takes place, and I will try to clarify that. We will now speak about infantry equipment, cavalry equipment, archer equipment, leadership equipment, and even city garrison equipment. But first, some disclaimers. Number 1, even if you're a mid, high spender or a CEO, you must start with a free-to-play equipment build for each of your fighting commanders. This because investing every material you have on one march or on one type is doing damage to you in the long run, because you will not be fighting with one march only. It is much better to get as much beginning value as possible spread across all of your primary fighting commanders, and then start accumulating materials for one upgrade at a time. Remember that you can always dismantle every single piece of equipment and have 100% of the materials back, with the only exception of the legendary pieces where the return rate is 50%. For the biggest players out there, remember that the new refinement system is coming on the game anytime soon, so dismantling will not be a thing anymore. Second disclaimer, my suggestions are not final. New equipments will eventually be released in Rise of Kingdoms. Maybe something will change in the future, but hey, as of August 2021, this is, in my opinion, the way to go. And we can always update this guide. Third and final disclaimer. This is my personal opinion and mine only. You don't need to agree with the fact that I don't make a distinction between rallying and garrisoning equipment. You are absolutely free to disagree and conduct your own testings and come up with your solutions, which might even be better than mine. Finally, let's start with our equipment build for your infantry march. Free-to-play players should consider using a full windswept set in order to get away quicker in case of danger, such as a big swarm, and should complete that set with a good amount of health, namely the Gatekeeper shield and the Karyak's humility. Production time is around 100 days, but we will not speak about the production time anymore, because it really depends on the blueprints, on how many materials you manage to grind, and other factors, such as the production speed, which you gain with the VIP level. Normally you craft everything earlier, but it may take weeks or months for a free-to-play to complete a set with all the special talent needed, because they need the blueprints. We will see how this will work with the new refinement system, if that's only for the legendary blueprints or not. Low spender players should focus on the epic pieces of equipment, including 2 attack pieces, the Witch's Lineage and the Queen's Soul, which are not my favorite pieces of equipment, but with a special talent, definitely they get the job done. Without a special talent, I would still prefer Helm and Chest Piece from the Windswept set. Reason being some extra march speed, less cost, the returns are almost the same, and therefore you have more space to focus on another march. A variation to this set is to use a specialized Sakura Fubuki. Keep in mind, it must have a special talent. If you have a special talent on there, it will be slightly better than the Gatekeeper's Shield. But this only if you are in your home kingdom or in KVK 1, 2 or 3. Once you enter the Season of Conquest KVK and you start researching up to 42% attack, the blue shield will have a better impact on your march, and you should absolutely prefer that over the Sakura Fubuki. Mid-spender players have the same pieces of the low spenders, except they should go for the infantry set helm and the hope clock for the chest. Switching from attack to defense will be essential at a certain point. Same speech here about the weapon. If you are outside the Season of Conquest KVK, you can prefer a specialized Sakura Fubuki. High spenders that have already access to the Season of Conquest equipment should go for this build right here. We have 2 KVK pieces, the Conqueror's Helm and the Hammer of the Sun and Moon, the Hop Clock, the Kyriak's Humility, and 2 infantry set pieces, the Boots and the Gloves. In this way, you will obtain also the 2 pieces set bonus, being 3% extra defense. An important variation on this set is to use the Eternal Knight instead of the Kyriak's Humility on 3 specific commanders: Zenobia, Constantine, and Harold. The reason is a bit articulated, but I'm going to make it simple for you. The key is to balance the mitigation factors in the damage formula. The mitigation factors are 2, defense and health. The key is to have their absolute values as close as possible to each other, in order to reduce the damage as much as we can. Quick, concrete example. We have a potential damage of 10,000, and the sum of our defense and health values is 50. If they are unbalanced, for example, being defense equal to 40 and health equal to 10, and divide 10,000 by 40 and then by 10, or vice versa, it doesn't matter, the result will be 25. If they are balanced instead, being for example defense 25 and health 25, even if the total is still 50, we will have a greater impact on the final damage output. In fact, if we divide 10,000 by 25 and then again by 25, the result will be 16 instead of 25. So having defense and health on the same level will help you out reducing the damage as much as possible. For the 3 mentioned commanders, Zenobia, Constantine and Harold, you have on average more health than you have defense, either because they buff your health a ton, or in the case of Harold, because he debuffs his defense by up to 75%, and in that case, you will automatically have more health compared to defense. In the mentioned cases, even a non-specialized Eternal Knight will be better than the Kyriak's Humility. Slightly better, but better. There is a final exception to the exception. If Harold is paired with Pakal, the new infantry and conquering commander, you can still use the Kyriak's Humility, and the reason is connected to this skill right here, and I have explained that in my Pakal breakdown guide. Consider checking it out. The ultimate equipment for infantry, the CEO build, that will probably be possible to few players once the equipment refinement system will be released, is this one right here. All the pieces mentioned before, but with a special talent applied. This set right here is just unbelievable. We have now closed the infantry part of the equipment guide. Let's switch our focus to the cavalry. Free-to-play players should simply go for 3 of the 4 windswept pieces: the boots, gloves, and chest, plus the Expedition War Helm and 2 pieces of the Advanced Vanguard set, weapon and legs. This build is very easy to craft and you can quickly obtain all the special talents needed. The reason why I did not go for the 4th piece of the windswept set is that cavalry units are normally less resistant and I prefer to use extra defense instead of the attack helm, and you don't really need the extra march speed because probably you are going to play with tier 4 units and that's cavalry, so you will not have a speed problem. Low spenders should focus on upgrading the weapon, chest, gloves and legs with as many of those epic showed on this build right here: the Heart of the Saint, the Dark Lord's Blessing, the Iset Sufferance, and the Gladiator. This is a beautiful build when it comes to returns for the investment. Cavalry has a lot of pieces with great deals of defense and health, and that's a big advantage for low spenders. Mid spenders have exactly the same build, but with 2 legendary upgrades: the chest and the boots. Both are part of the cavalry set and give you health. They are exceptional. You should start from the boots to remove the windswept ones that are probably the least valuable pieces that you have, and then go for the chest piece. The reason why I didn't suggest the helm in place of the chest is only because thinking about it, the chest gives you a slight better return, especially if we consider that we don't get special talents, which in 89% of the cases is true. High spenders should pick up the KVK Helm, the Pride of the Khan, and forge the Navarre's Control as gloves and the Ash of the Dawn as leg piece. I would absolutely keep the specialized Heart of the Saint until you are sure that you are able to get a special talent on the 25% attack weapon, which leads us to the CEO build for cavalry, including every piece shown for the high spenders, with a special talent of course, plus a special talented Sacred Dominion, which could be the only possible replacement to the Heart of the Saint, in my opinion. This set is the most phenomenal set there is for this tier of spending, because cavalry has so many health pieces, 4 out of 6, and this is absolutely exceptional. We concluded now the cavalry part of this guide. It's time to speak about archers. Free-to-play players should simply go for a mix of green, blue and one single purple piece, being the flame threads. So we have the Helm of the Phoenix, the leather gloves, the commander's heavy armor, the greaves of the exile, the staff of the lost and the flame threads. If you cannot forge the epic shoes, you can simply stick to the white beginner ones that give you a bit of defense, and you're good to go. Low spenders should focus on a full epic set of equipment, with the 4 pieces from the Revival set, which is my favorite set, together with the Windswept one, the Golden Age and the Flame Threads. Reason being, you get a lot of extra stats with the 4 pieces set, and if you have a special talent on the attack pieces, that's very good. Keep in mind that if you don't have a special talent on some of the pieces, like the gloves and the chest, probably the blue chest piece and the green gloves with the special talent are still better. I personally suggest to change them only when you get your special talent. Mid-spenders should change just 2 pieces, the chest and the gloves, and forge the 2 from the archer set in order to get the 2 set bonus and a great amount of health thanks to the chest piece. Very simple upgrade. High spenders should focus on getting 4 pieces of the archer set, like shown here, so compared to a mid-spender, you should add the weapon and the boots to obtain an extra 3% skill damage bonus. You should absolutely keep the 2 defensive revival set pieces, those are great and you will not regret it. The CEO set build here is much different. In case you can specialize every single piece of equipment, that's what you should aim for. We have 2 KVK pieces, the Ancestral Mask and the Hydra's Blast, and 4 out of 6 pieces from the Archer Legendary set. But wait for it! If you want to be the craziest person in Rise of Kingdoms, you should pick up the Cavalry KVK Helm, the Pride of the Khan, that has also 8% archer health, and try to get an archer special talent on it. Will be the cherry on the top if you're an archer main player. That will be absolutely devastating, and I believe it's very difficult that something will surpass that in the future. Of course, remember that those combination of equipment become ideal only when you get the special talent, otherwise we would have sticked to a couple pieces from the Revival set. We have spoken about infantry, cavalry, archers. Now we touch the leadership topic. I will make it simple for you. When you use a leadership commander, like Trajan for example, you should use a big portion of one troop type and then other 2 troop types to fill the march and acquire the extra bonuses from the leadership talent tree and the skills of the specific commander. And the bigger portion of troop type that you should use also depends on your civilization, as I have explained on this video. Check it out, card up on the top. At this point, you just need to consider which troop is preeminent in your march and forge your equipment accordingly, following the previous builds that I proposed for the different unit types. The only difference is that you should pick up a leadership talent on the pieces. For example, if you're using Trajan with Ottoman civilization, and therefore you should use mostly infantry, in this case, if you're a low spender in a Season of Conquest KVK, you should use this set right here, which is equal to the low spender set for infantry, just with leadership special talents. If you are not in the Season of Conquest, you will use a Sakura instead of the Gatekeeper's Shield. Easy, no? I hope the concept is clear. Boost the most important troop in your leadership march. Finally, let's speak about the best city garrison equipment. Ideally, you should not take rallies on your city unless you can really take the rallies. So, a very old low spender player at least, or a mid-spender going up. And still, ideally, the commanders to use on your wall are YSS and Theodora, which in my opinion is the best city defense, or Zenobia and Theodora. If you meet the requirements, and considering that the average player has an equal distribution of troops in the city, you should use the equipment pieces that give you as many statistics as possible with a leadership special talent, in order to pick up stats for all the troops in your city. As you can see, there are pieces that give you 3 different statistics, one for cavalry, one for infantry, and one for archers, so you should really consider picking up those pieces. Very few players will build such an equipment, but here we are. Let's talk about it for the sake of the video. The lighter set, version 1, that I propose is this one, with either the Golden Age or the Heart of the Saint as weapon. The 4 pieces from the Revival set, giving you the set bonuses and the Shios return. But the best set for the job instead would have the set Archer weapon and gloves, the Hop Clock, the Eternal Knight, the set infantry boots and helm, or alternatively the Pride of the Khan as helm and the Navarre control as gloves, of course depending on the troop ratio in your city. If you have more cavalry, for example, you will use the Navarre's control and the Pride of the Khan. Anyway, that's just speculation. Nobody will forge that with a leadership special talent. But at the end, even if you don't have the talents, those pieces can still be taken out from other commanders. I know that we have not spoken about accessories because I have a full guide and a mechanic breakdown about all the accessories in Rise of Kingdoms, even the blue and the purple ones. I will leave a card up on the top and a link in the description down below. Consider checking it out if you have some doubts about how the single accessories work. If you want me to make a guide on the accessory choices for every single type of troops or the specific marches, leave a comment down below so I know that you're interested in that, and I promise I will do my best to publish that guide. I hope this video was helpful and interesting. If you have any doubt or concern, we can discuss about it on my Discord. The link to join is down below. We are already over 16,000. Why aren't you there already? I will see you on the next one. Ciao!